Hi everyone, my name is Monica of Heartcraftpaper. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a mountain scene Christmas card. To begin, let's go ahead and go over some of the items you're going to need for today's project. Now, I didn't end up using the frond, but the first thing we have are the Cosmic Shimmer, and this is Aurora Flakes. This is a beautiful gold, green, and red color, which kind of goes with the season. The shine on that is amazing. Next, we're going to be utilizing two of the newest release stamped images from Lavinia. This is the Floral Wreath, and that is a beautiful kind of a berry feel to it. And then we have Mangus, which is a wonderful reindeer and is huge and just kind of majestic. I love the antlers on this. I'm going to skip over the die because I don't intend on actually utilizing that, but you're going to need fluffy stuff from Cosmic Shimmer. This all can be found on the shop at Lavinia World, so don't worry, I'll go ahead and link everything. Next, we have the Flake and Glitter Glue. That's going to work with our Cosmic Shimmer Aurora Flakes. And this will stay tacky for a bit, so you can leave it, set it aside, let it turn dry and turn a little bit tacky before you start utilizing your Cosmic Shimmer Flakes. All right, let's go ahead and get crafting. I'm going to start off today by stamping off the floral wreath, and this is going to be this larger image here. I'm not going to utilize the little one since we're going to be trimming this out. I don't want to lose those details on the smaller berries. So I'm just going to place this down onto my platform and get stamping. I'm going to utilize a black ink that's safe to use for Copic colors because I don't want my coloring to get ruined. And you're gonna love, or at least I love, the vintage feel that I get on these berries just because of that detail that it has with the spots inside the berries. So this is a really lovely image. Ready to start coloring in our images. I have YG61 and YG63 for these particular images. I'm simply going with a two-tone. I'm not going to add too much detail because this already has quite a bit of detailing. I'm going to come in with my lightest color first and fill in all the berries. So first off, with this lightest color coming in first, this is going to set the base and the ease at which I can actually blend in my darker color. Once I come in with this darker color, basically what I'm going to be doing is just working on the outside where you see the darker sections, just to help bring out more of that green in those darker sections rather than just having it as a black. I want it to really pop those colors. All right, so you're probably noticing that I'm not being quite as careful as I normally would be, and that's fine. I did go over the lines a little bit. And I'm going to show you a couple of tricks to help fix this anytime you're working with Copic markers, so not to worry. Let's go ahead and have a closer look at this so you can see all the little details, and that vintage feel that this has is truly lovely. I'm going to go ahead and repeat the same process on the other image. With both of my images now completely colored, I can come back and add a little bit more detail. But as you can see, I do have a little bit of cleanup work here that I need to kind of work on. And I'm going to show you two ways to actually work on this. The first way I'm going to show you is utilizing the Zero Copic marker, or the colorless, and as I like to call it, my magic eraser. So basically what you're doing and what the colorless does is push those colors through the fibers of the paper and dilutes the alcohol coloring. Now, one thing you do have to be careful of is when you're utilizing this, you don't want to oversaturate the paper because it will spread and also push that color out or cause it to bleed out. So you do really want to be careful. And that's one way to kind of repair that. And as you can see, it kind of removes some of that ink coloring. It's not always perfect, but there is another way that you can actually fix this. All right, so here I'm coming in with a jelly pen. Yeah, that's right, a nice plain white jelly pen. If I'm keeping my image white on the background, then the simplest way to actually correct any errors is utilizing this as a whiteout. and coming through, gently scrubbing around the image where I kind of went out, and my items will automatically clean up. All you have to do is just wait for it to dry, and as you can see, all my items have cleared up there. Perfect. Now I'm going to be keeping out my jelly pen because I'm going to add in some details into my little buds here. I want this to have some white detailing to help bring out the aspect of the imagery. I just like how with darker colors and darker images, utilizing white really helps add a lot of details. Here you can see just how lovely this is looking with just a little bit of pop in white. Not too much, not too little. Once I've finished adding in all my details, I'm going to come right back in with some scissors and I'm going to start fussy cutting. Now, the trick to fussy cutting, which most people tend to kind of forget, is you don't want to close your scissors all the way to the very end so that it creates a new section where you have to start up. You just kind of want to keep it going and rotating your hand that is holding the paper. That is a trick to creating those nice round curves. Now, I'm not sure how much you like fussy cutting. For me, it's fun. It kind of takes a little bit of concentration, so it allows me to focus while I'm doing this. One of the things that I do like, I like having stamp dies that, the coordinating dies, but sometimes this is a little bit fun for me because I end up kind of zoning out. So here you can see just how beautiful that turned out. All right, time to start stamping up our image. I'm going to be stamping up Mangus, and this particular image, again, I'm going to fussy cut him out. So you want to gently peel off your image off the acetate and roll the acetate from the image itself, so that way you keep your image nice and straight. Now for the stamping of my images for today's project, I did use Nina White Cardstock. This particular one is 110 pound. I like using 110 pound just because it's a little bit firmer, especially for coloring. It's very good. I'm coming in with Versaclear Fine. This is a pine cone. And I'm just going to go ahead and cover up my image. You can see just how well this particular ink covers up the image. It is spectacular. I only have to tap it off a couple of times. I don't have to re-ink. And that's why I'm using a stamping block compared to my stamping platform, because I don't have to re-stamp. Let's go ahead and put this image down so you can see exactly what I mean. Now I'm just going to go ahead, press down firmly, rub off on that, make sure that I have a very good imprint. This is the same process that I would use if I'm also doing or utilizing a stamp platform. So again, here, let's go ahead and have a look. I mean, look at the amount of ink that gets onto that piece of paper. That is spectacular. Now simply wipe off. Look at how much comes off of that stamp. Everything comes off. I really love this ink. Again, I'm gonna come on in and fussy cut my image. Now keep in mind that I am rotating my image. I'm also trying to get as close as I can. Usually I like to leave a 1/8 inch border around my items. The only thing is that because of the antlers, I'm just going to kind of cut around the outside of the majority of the antlers. I'm not going to go into too much detail. If I really want to do the detail, then I'll go ahead and use a crafting knife. With my image cut out, I'm going to put it onto a piece of white cardstock that I cut down to 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. I'm just placing my items down so I can see exactly where I'm going to line things up. We're going to create a mountain scene background, so I just kind of want to get an idea of where things are going to lie or how far out I have to color. You can utilize a circular stencil in order to kind of block this off, or repositionable tape. I mean, whatever you'd like, just to kind of block off two sides. I kind of get the idea, so that's fine. Now I created this particular stencil, and this created a jagged edge. This is going to be the background. I'm just going to come in and blend in some, this is what, faded Stormy Sky. So Stormy Sky is what we're going to be utilizing for the background, and I'm just going to go ahead and blend those in. Now, once I've got some of this Stormy Sky put down, I'm going to go ahead and lift my image a little bit further up. As you can see, I do have a stopping point. I'm coming in with faded jeans to add a little bit of darkness to this mountain that's here in the front that I'm utilizing. And the reason being is that as you, in art, or actually even in nature, the further away an object is, the lighter it actually is. Your eyes can't catch all those details and all those colors, so it gets lighter. And that's why I came in with the faded jean, to be able to add in a little bit of darkness to my image in the forefront. Okay, so I'm just going to bring that all the way up, and you can see a little bit of different coloration there. I'm going to add a few more mountains. And then, in order to lighten up those mountains that are in the back that you see, I'm going to come in with unicorn white, and that is going to actually lighten up those images even further as it gets further back. Okay, I just want to make sure I have a very good coloration of that unicorn white. Okay. Once I have that done, then I'm going to go ahead and kind of make some snow drifts, I guess you can call it. I have the reverse side of this particular item. Just came in and added in some of the unicorn white. Once I have that set, just lightly come in and add in some tumbled glass for the sky in the background. Simple as that. You just don't want to cover up too much. You can see that I kind of kept a little bit of distance from the edge of the mountain tops that I have there. So. All right, now we're going to come in with the fluffy stuff. This is going to be a ton of fun. I've already nipped off the end, and as you can see, it's pretty fine. I'm just going to come in and randomly drag this out. I don't want to create an edge, a straight edge along those mountaintops, because in all reality, when you're looking at mountains, you do see a little bit of color peeking in, but I also don't want to lose the definition that I have on the edges there. So as you can see, I'm coming in gently, trying to make sure that I'm not going over those lines or that definition of the mountains. As you can see, I have everything ready and set, and this is where the magic is going to happen. I have my heat gun ready to go, and I'm just bringing in that hot air on top of my image, just making sure that I'm going back and forth and continually moving this. You want to heat up the front and the back. This will actually speed up the process. Not sure how visible this will be, but it's already starting to puff up. I'm going to turn this a little so you can see it, and you can see that particular edge, that peak at the very top has already started to puff out. And this is what I really like about some of the items with mixed media. You can find some wonderful products, things like this, that really set your project apart and give a lot of details. With my fluffy stuff done, I can now come in with the flake and glitter glue from Cosmic Shimmer, and I'm just kind of creating this dot pattern all the way around my image. Now I have already added some of the glue, so I'm just going to go ahead and set this off to the side. I want it to dry while I continue working just a little bit. It's going to remain tacky, I just kind of want it to dry off a little bit. So here I have my Mangus image. I want to come in and add a little bit more detail to it, just to kind of brighten it up, I guess you can say. I'm coming in with my jelly pen, and in white, I'm going to be adding in some fur details. So basically, I'm just going to create little white lines and dashes kind of over the areas where it would be lightest. When you look at a reindeer, usually that front chest area, you have the snout underneath the neck, the underbelly, and the inside of the legs. Those are a couple of items that you can find some of that lightness in. So I'm just adding in those little details, which will be quite a bit. Once you get to kind of look at it, it adds a lot of depth to your particular image. I know I keep saying that, but here's a closer look. You can see that it does have quite a bit of detail. You can do pointillism just to kind of add in those details, which is just adding dots. It's up to you. It depends on your taste. You can add longer strokes if you want to have more detailed fur. And then once I finish here, I'll go ahead and add some spots to the back of the reindeer. So it's going to be a little bit larger dots here and there. Just that little bit of detail adds so much character to my image. So we're kind of coming down to the end here. I do have to add my Aurora flakes to this image. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in a box. You want to make sure you have a place to actually do this, and this is why I chose a box, because these will kind of fly everywhere. They're so light. They're gilding flakes, and kind of, I guess you want to say the leftovers of what you would find on a gilding sheet. So you just want to kind of sprinkle them over the top and make sure they get onto those little spots. So you just want to coat the item. You can simply lift it up, kind of make sure that those flakes kind of get all over the place. I'm using what's in the box. I don't want to overdo it because this is going to leave quite a bit of residue once it's done. As you can see, they kind of fly everywhere. I'm going to come in with a makeup sponge and rub this off. Now remember, the glue is still kind of wet and tacky, so as I go through and rub this across, it's also going to be spreading some of that glue, which is kind of neat because it's going to create a really nice effect. And what I'm going to do is I'm still going to add in some more flakes by dropping in my sponge into those flakes and dragging them right on across again over the sticky areas and the glue. As you can see, the glue has spread and allowed those the flakes to kind of stick to it, which is really, really very interesting. And I love the look that this is getting. And the shine from the flakes, once you kind of rub it off, is absolutely beautiful. So let's go ahead and have a closer look so you can see what this is going to look like. Just be mindful, this will kind of leave a little bit of a mess. So if you're the type of person like me, I like trying to keep it controlled. But look at the shine that you get off of that. And this is the Aurora flakes. And again, you know, this has a color of gold, red, and green that kind of fits. Even though we have that mountain scene in the background, it still goes with it. So here's my card base. It is a 5.5 by 5.5. I got these at Michael's, I believe. And I also have a piece of craft cardstock that I cut down to 5.5 by 5.5. I'm going to go ahead and adhere my image down, which is a 5.25 by 5.25 onto that craft cardstock. Again, you can use any type of adhesive that you like. If you want to use double-sided tape, that's perfectly fine. You know, liquid glue, absolutely. Just have fun with it and make sure that it's something that you know is not going to kind of lift off your card. And for me, utilizing liquid glue at this point, because of the heat that we applied to it, did have a little bit of warping. So this will help kind of keep it straight if I utilize glue and get that kind of everywhere. I want to set it down so that it has about 1/4 of an inch all the way around, kind of peeking out. I'm going to gently press down firmly on that, and then I'm going to go ahead and adhere that onto my card base. All right, time to add in my other images, and I'm just kind of getting a feel for how it's going to look and just where I'm going to place my items. So I'm going to go ahead and actually make these stand out. I'm going to use some pop dots or foam dots, if you like, circle foam dots. This will allow my image to kind of stand forward off of that mountainous background. As you go, you're going to note that some areas are going to be smaller. Just simply cut your little pop dots in half and utilize them in the areas that are the smallest. Now this will give you a very good amount of support to be able to pass this also through the mail. Just set down your images, and I put down my little floral wreaths, or not quite so little, and I put them over the sides of that mountain range. So you can see that it's kind of peeking out there, and I want my reindeer to kind of be at the forefront of that, a little bit lower. So I'm using pop dots for that as well because I want it at the same level. Now here's a little trick for you. I don't toss out all this excess. I kind of keep it and utilize it in my crafting as well, because that is a significant amount of foam tape if you would like. I'm just going to go ahead and trim that out to fit onto the legs of my reindeer. So once I get this nice and set, I'm going to go ahead and place this on the forefront of the card. I want it just above those floral wreaths. And as you can see, this is turning out lovely. Now all we have to do is work our sentiment. For this particular card, I wanted to have a hand font. And that's because I wanted to be a little bit more personalized. So I'm making a smaller Mary and a larger Christmas. This will be, handwritten in pencil first, just to make sure that I get this nice and neat. And then I'll go back in with my marker and write on over that. And as you kind of notice, it does, you want to take it slow. Right now, I've sped this up in order to help with this process and make it faster. But when you're hand fonting or you're handwriting, you want to make sure you're taking your time writing out your letters. Once I have the whole thing written out, I'm going to come back in and make my faux calligraphy. And that is by thickening up those how would you call it, downstrokes. All those downstrokes are usually where you would add more pressure on a calligraphy pen. Now I felt like black was the better color. I wanted to come in with my gold acrylic, but that there just kind of seemed a little bit too much work, and it probably wouldn't dry as quickly. So this worked out perfectly. Once I have this all kind of completed, I'm going to come right back on in, and then I'm going to erase those lines and any of those background lines that you see behind the fonts. This will create a nice clean canvas. Now I almost forgot to cross my T there. And you see, this makes such a lovely card. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. For more videos and tutorials like these, don't forget to subscribe and hit the little notification bell. You can visit the shop at www.laviniaworld.com. Join us in the Facebook group for fun challenges and inspiration.